What's up? Welcome to Tales Tomorrow. I am Morrow, your storyteller for today, and we have today some RPG horror stories. I don't know what I'm doing. Anyway, I'm gonna get to the first reading before I lose my brain. I think the heat's getting to me. I'm trapped with a problem player. I started a homebrew D&D campaign half a year ago. It was going very well. Almost all of the players had played before, though half of them weren't that familiarized with the rules. However, we managed to meet every 2 weeks. They defeated the first boss and finished the first campaign arc, and then one of the players, who was new, said that he wanted to leave the campaign because he didn't enjoy the game as much as the rest. I made his character be presumed dead in case he wanted to return. A bit later, my girlfriend and I hung out with a friend of her and his couple. Spoiler, the problem player. Let's call her PP. I am not calling anybody PP, so I'll say Pretty Princess. We'll go with that. I already knew Pretty Princess had a problematic behavior in general, and that night, she seemed distant, didn't drink anything, and was silent almost all the time. While talking with her boyfriend, my girlfriend started telling him about our campaign and how she's having a great time. He said he would love to play D&D, so my girlfriend invited him to join the campaign as a substitute for the player that left. I had no problem with that, as it would help me keep my sessions with the same power balance I planned to. Next day, my girlfriend asked her friend if he was still interested, and he answered that yeah, he was. And not only that, but Pretty Princess wanted to play too. That annoyed me for 2 reasons. I knew she was a problematic person and it would be one more player that I planned. However, I accepted just because I didn't want to bother her boyfriend. I helped them build their characters and we started having schedule issues because of them. Princess would usually speak on her boyfriend's behalf when talking about when they could be available. If you knew that Princess, I'm not just call Princess, I'm not gonna call Pretty Princess. If you knew the Princess was gonna be a bit of a drama princess or like some sort of a problem player, it might have been a good idea to just let him know ahead of time. And if they were gonna be like a package together, then probably should have spoke up. If you already know ahead of time that a certain player is gonna have some problems at the table because of previous experiences, then I mean, probably should have spoke up. Probably would have been a good idea to maybe say something, maybe talk to the original player, or maybe talk to the rest of the players, be like, hey, listen, so this person is being added, the kind of couple deal, package deal, but her, the princess, is a little bit off the rocker, off the keister, I don't know, whatever her problem is. Probably should have spoke up about it, but you know what, let's see how this plays out. Next session comes, and they present their characters. They're very flat, so I don't really know how to introduce them in an ordinary way or how to incorporate their own personal objectives to the campaign. They're new players. I thought it would make their characters evolve with time and that would bring new ideas. However, Princess starts constantly drawing attention to every player asking about rules, talk about her personal life or her interests during the session, keeps players distracted from what's happening. As I didn't have room for so many people in my house, I decided to do the next session at a local store. The problem of her drawing everyone's attention became more blatant there, as players wouldn't be interacting as they should because Princess was talking to them during combat, and every turn took ages. I had to do a summary of the conclusion because the store was about to shut. In that session, I wrote them a message telling them that I would not tolerate this kind of behavior and that when we are playing D&D, we should all be focused on the game, even if it wasn't their turn to do things, and that they should talk about other rules of the game if possible and prepare their turns in advance during turns of the rest of combat. Everyone apologized. I don't think the rest of the players have to apologize. I think mainly just Princess have to apologize. Singling them out, I understand like where you're going from. You don't want to single them out, make them feel like you're calling out just Princess, not everybody else. I get it. Sometimes combat can last forever, and sometimes if it's not your turn, you can get a little bored. You start scrolling through your phone, maybe looking at Twitter or X, I guess. Still feels weird to say. Suddenly it's your turn and you finally go, oh boy, I could finally make a turn. But like, the least you can do is just be respectful when other people are taking the turns and not be a nuisance. If you're gonna be getting distracted a little bit, be distracted silently. Don't be a distraction. Try to be distracted anyway. I mean, try to focus on what's going on in the combat in the first place. But I mean, Princess seems like they're gonna be a bit of a problem. You know what I should have said? The best name, not Pretty Princess, Problem Princess. Perfect! Oh my god, that's the new name, Problem Princess. For our last sessions, as Problem Princess's boyfriend had to work during the afternoon, I proposed playing at a park, starting during the morning, having lunch together and playing after lunch for a bit more. Everyone accepted. Problem Princess even accepted on behalf of her boyfriend. However, when we met there, Problem Princess was almost speechless, wearing sunglasses, being rude to her boyfriend, and constantly smelling on a blanket for some reason. She didn't participate during most of the morning, smelling on that blanket. Then she slowly regained energy and started to try drawing attention again, trying to introduce her personal problems into roleplaying, not as a self-insert, but directly making references to her own life as she was roleplaying, telling people private things about her boyfriend, and when we had lunch, she was again being rude with her boyfriend. Why is she doing that? Why is she talking about her problems in TTRPG? Spilling the beans? She's literally spilling the tea for, what, no reason? And then smell the blanket? Does it smell good? But the problem is, she's being a distraction, so I kind of need to let her know that, hey, you gotta stop. We gotta put the foot down on this. I don't know what to do with this player. During the first 2 sessions, the rest of the players seemed to like her, with the exception of me and my girlfriend, because we already knew things about her. But after those last 2, everyone started seeing her as problematic, and they even found out some strong things about her life. Plus, she is a danger to the campaign. However, because of my girlfriend's friendship with her boyfriend, I'm unable to kick her out of the campaign, as that would surely mean to kick her boyfriend out too, and probably ending his friendship with my girlfriend. So now I'm stuck with the problem player, as I don't know what to do. Talk to your players. Talk to your girlfriend, figure out together as a team. And I mean, if having her be removed is gonna ruin friendships, which sounds stupid, it shouldn't be happening like that. God forbid you just want to play a TTRPG without a freaking distraction, smelling blankets and stuff. I don't understand why she's smelling blankets. Why is she sniffing that blanket? That is the weirdest thing ever. Not the weirdest thing in general, but like, I don't know, man, to me it's just really weird and sus. Anyway, if she's a problem and the rest of the players don't want her there, including you, yourself, and the girlfriend and other players, then just make a decision, make an executive decision as a group and remove her. If that is going to cause the friendship to end over something as stupid as removing a problem player, then if the friendship was never going to survive because of one single person getting in the way, then maybe it's not a good enough friendship. I don't know, man. It's weird. I'm not saying like your girlfriend should stop being friends with a guy and stuff over this, because to me that sounds asinine. That sounds so stupid. That sounds bizarre. That sounds maddening as hell. Like, what's the point? Why? That shouldn't be like that. But I mean, if she's really gonna get in the way of like a friendship and y'all having fun playing TTRPGs together, then I guess it is what it is. Make a group decision together, that's what I would say. Thank you for your feedback. I'm gonna talk to the rest of the players first and then respectfully tell Princess and her boyfriend that making the party go slower and in general be distracted because they're new players, and invite them to join us in the future if we start a new campaign. And just to clarify, she smelling that blanket wasn't an euphemism. She literally was doing that, but she just likes the smell of the blanket, I guess. That's weird. All right, well, anyway. Well, I hope the friendship doesn't end over a blanket smeller. Blanket smeller sounds weird. Sounds like I'm making a euphemism. I'm way too fixated on the whole, like, sniffing of the blanket, but it's just weird to me. Just why? What is that? What is going on? I don't know. It's like a weird thing just stands out in the story that's just... Everything else, I'm perfectly fine with because everything makes sense. You know, problem player being a problem player. Sniffing blanket, my brain is broken and I'm shattered to pieces and I can't comprehend sniffing blanket. Why? Anyway, that time I started a blood feud with the DM. This happened a while ago, and I want to stress that in retrospect, it's probably as much my fault as was the DM's in question. I'm not very proud of what happened. So at the time I was, and to the point still am, the forever DM of a group of friends, and was utterly starved to finally get to be a PC. I had many bad experiences with just trying random groups online, but a good friend of mine eventually recommended me a group that needed a fifth. I knew nobody else in the call, playing over Roll20, but first impressions were great. They were playing a low-stakes GURPS game in Halo setting. Halo setting, Halo TTRPG sounds so fun, please, can I join? And there were many laughs to be had at the shenanigans and ridiculous stuff that kept happening. We played about 5 sessions of this, and I do still remember it fondly. But then the current adventure ended, and the table agreed that we wanted to do medieval high fantasy next, queue voting on the system, and world to play in, done via Discord polls. The DM offered half a dozen systems and worlds he was willing to prep, and in the end, D&D won with a 4-6 vote. Now, I'm not a big fan of D&D, mostly rule-wise, no really issue with any of the lore. I had some bad experiences with what I believe used to be a somewhat common thing of DMs being compared to the DM of Critical Role. And I've avoided both the show and the system as a whole as a result. Yeah, that kind of ends up happening every now and then for some of these RPG horror stories, but you know what? If somebody compares it to somebody like Matt Mercer, you can be like, if you expect me to be Matt Mercer, I expect you to be like Marisha Ray, Laura Bailey, Sam Riegel, Travis Willingham, Liam O'Brien, and Ashley Johnson. Otherwise, don't expect me to be like Matt Mercer. And you know what? That's a fair assessment. I kind of like that. If people expect Critical Role, that bad I'll bring on Critical Role themselves too. Otherwise, it's just unfair. Why the DM has to be bringing on Critical Role experience to everybody? Critical Role was not good because of Matt Mercer. Critical Role is good because of Matt Mercer and the rest of the players combined together. Together they are voice actors and entertainers that know how to put on a really good show. Because at the end of the day, Critical Role is a show. It's meant for entertainment. It's not meant for, I don't know, the baseline experience. It's there for fun. But in this case, I didn't have to present it, just play it. So I shrugged my shoulders, and one of the other play members was kind enough to give me a rule refresher. End up rolling a ranger since we didn't have a dedicated range class that wasn't magic. Fast forward around 3 months. DM needed time to prep, and I admit I had almost forgotten about the game if not for a calendar reminder that popped up a week beforehand. I'm a scatterbrain and tend to set multi-alerts just in case. Now, I'm sure you had bad rolling streaks yourself before, but to say I had bad luck with dice in session 1 would be like saying that volcanic heat tends to be bad for one's complexion. Couldn't hit anything in combat, couldn't roll any successes on tracking or knowing things about animals. Imagine Mr. Bean is a park ranger, and you'll roughly have the idea of the level of competence my dice were granting me. Our first fight against an ambush of goblins was basically David versus the Goliath in my case, except Goliath was 3 goblins in a trench coat versus Bean Rangerson. This happened and I clenched my teeth through literally everything going wrong for me. I clenched extra hard on my character becoming the butt of the joke, basically having zero chance of being taken seriously. I'm glad I didn't have any dead parents in my backstory, because if I did, it was not likely my characters had shot themselves while stumbling over my own feet trying to hit a rabbit. All in good humor, I shrugged my shoulders, kept telling myself it had made a good laugh for the other people. I was certain I'd gotten all the bad rolls out early. I feel like there's a little bit of foreshadowing, but if this mentioned the story already early on just like that, I feel like it's going to become the crux of it, that the player feels like maybe they're the butt of the joke or the butt of the campaign, and it's just never going to end. Session 2 started awful yet again, and I contributed basically nothing to the fight against local goblin boss villain, except make him waste a full turn pointing and laughing at my character, who literally just couldn't hit a single attack the entire fight. Oh, I feel ya, it happens sometimes, it's rough. A fumble jump check at some attacks later, and the party is torn on whether they want to pursue the retreating goblin boss or haul the fractured ruin that was once my body back to the city. I fully admit, I was basically checked out at this point, and when I failed the jump check, I outright told the DM to just let me fall into the pit to get this misery over with. For context, we're talking about somewhere 7 hours of unmitigated failure start to end, and no meaningful RP due to being a laughing stock. Oh, I am so sorry. I eventually convinced the party to just split. I'm literally not doing anything of relevance anyway, and they go chase the quarry down. DM seems miffed, but at the time I didn't even realize it might be because of me. Session ends with a pile of loot and decent XP. All the players other than me are happy. Between sessions, I offhandedly mentioned wanting to roll a new character to one of the others who I sometimes played some video games with, and that due to the bad dice affair, I hadn't really had much fun so far. This made its way to the DM, who messaged me personally to talk. Now, with hindsight, I'm really convinced that this was just a case of 2 people talking past each other. I didn't make it clear enough to me having a bad time was not all due to him, but just due to dice luck. And he didn't seem to get that literally failing at 90% of everything you do in a session isn't really fun in the long term, especially if people are trying to take the story somewhat seriously. Over the final 2 sessions, things went bad pretty quickly. He insists that I keep playing the ranger, have made the character an object of ridicule among the NPCs as well. Well, yeah, I wouldn't want to play the ranger if I'm an object of ridicule as well. What the hell, I wouldn't want that. Since my character didn't exactly feel motivated to help people that were laughing at him, Comic failure notwithstanding, he had still risked his life for the party at multiple points. He basically told most NPCs and quest givers to go fudge themselves. I had also gotten passive-aggressive over what I perceived to be singled out for risky dice rolls. Can't be overstated that by session 4, it must have been genuinely uncomfortable for the rest of the table. But it took a big Discord argument after that before DM and me mutually told each other to go jump off the nearest cliff. Thus, I left that group. Miraculously, I'm still friends with the other players, but DM and me never got onto a green twig with each other again. Bad rolls are one thing. Prodding to a player about it continuously and making him feel like the butt of the joke, that's a whole other thing, right? Yeah, bad dice sometimes happen. And it sucks, and there's not much you can do about it. Sometimes RNGesus is just not present. He's just checked out for the day and you're shit out of luck. You should be prodding your player over that. Yeah, it happens. Sometimes you get bad rolls, sometimes you get bad luck. You shouldn't make the player's character the butt of the joke. One joke, ha 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 ha. Second joke, ha 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 ha. Third joke, DM, could we stop that? Fourth joke, it's not even funny at that point because it just runs out of it. It runs its course. If you're not gonna throw him a bone, at least don't make him feel miserable at it. Don't already feel bad over the bad rolls. The least you can do is get him involved in other ways. Don't require rolls to make him feel a little better. Poking and prodding continuously after every single bad roll is gonna poke the bear. You don't poke the bear. Just don't poke the bear. Don't poke the player that already is fed up with all the low rolls and fed up with your bad jokes. If anything, come up with better jokes. Come up with other ways to get a player involved. Find a way to make the player not feel miserable for rolling so low continuously. Also, the OP, you should probably change your virtual dice. They might be cursed. And with that, that's gonna be all our stories for today. I want to thank you very much for watching, and thanks so much for being here. If you like what I do, consider subscribing to the channel and leaving a like. Also, if the RPG Horror Stories ever goes down, or if you want to submit your own personalized horror story, email is down in the description below. I'll see you again in more Tales Tomorrow. Bye-bye.